What's up guys, Cloakfiend here again. Now I'm just recording my screen just because I find it easier than doing screen recording, and I can point stuff out even though I'm using a Wacom as well. And because this part I'm going to talk about how to import your footage to take out the frames, because the last time I just said I took the frames out, loads of people don't know how to do it. So I'm going to talk about quite a lot of stuff in this tutorial because I want it to be like a thorough one. So first off, this is After Effects, this program here. And this is what I use to import my footage. So here I've got a gallery of my phone. I've never got a room on my kind of camera. So here's one kind of one video kind of scan that I did a while ago. So essentially that's what I did. And what I'm going to do now is you go up to here and then you click share. You wait for it to kind of load the stuff up, and then you click on drive. So that's how I kind of get the footage out of the phone. If you don't have a micro SD card slot, which this one does, so I can sometimes just copy it there. And then basically I come in here, choose what folder I want it, I put it in this folder here, that's fine, and select. And then go right, save it there, and then it kind of uploads the file. So that's that part out of the way. So here we got Chrome, and then I'll go up to here, into Google Drive. I'll go to my face scans folder, and I'll just literally click on it, and then click on download. So when you're in After Effects, you can either double click here or you can go to File, Import, File, which I'm going to do that. Click, and then this is the folder I get, and I'm going to import these two files because these are the ones I was sent by someone. So I'll open them up here, and then as you can see I can just drag a comp for each of them. That's 412 and this is 455. So this dude sent me a video. He said, could you scan my head and show me how to do it? So essentially that's what I'm doing. You can scrub it. Hold on, I'm looking at my screen. I've got two monitors, so here you go. You can kind of scrub it along here. Now because it's H.265, it's a bit of a dog. It really doesn't like quick scrubbing. So this one's a bit better. This one for some reason doesn't like to get scrubbed, but whatever. So what we do here now is literally go through each frame and kind of examine the quality of each frame basically, and then pull out about 50 frames because we're using the free version of Zephyr. Alright, now the reason this guy sent me two videos was because the first one was not very good in comparison to the second one in terms of quality, because I'll go over that now basically. So hold on, I've got the laptop, this is on the ground and the keyboard's like right there. So if I just zoom in, I'm going to try and show you exactly what my issues were with the first one. So I'm gone really close for this one, and I'm just going to scrub it really. So essentially, as you can see, the hair is kind of sharp there, and another thing is I've stopped for a little bit all the time, and this guy didn't stop at all. Just as you can see, it's non-stop going around. There's no pauses at all. In fact, he did that on both videos. So if you watch my first video, I kind of go around, pause, go around, pause, go around, pause, go around, pause. You have to do it like that, otherwise you're going to have a high risk of getting motion blur. Anyway, like in this video. So here, it's not too bad, but as you start moving along, because he's not doing any pausing, you've got mad motion blur here. And if you're outside and you move, you don't have motion blur because your shutter, the shutter speeds are different, and it's like don't really want to get into the specifics of why. It's just that it's trying to compensate for the lack of light, and it opens the shutter. You want a more narrow shutter than a wide shutter. I think I could be getting that completely wrong. I mean, here the eyebrows all right, so I'll take that frame, but all of the other ones are kind of blurred. As you can see, that's blurred. That one's kind of all right. That one's all right-ish. That one's all right, but as you can see, there loads of them are blurred. Let me zoom out a bit. And then where's the space bar? So, and then I'd also come down here and click on the lock button. Otherwise, you can move the image off your canvas and then mess things up because you might be clicking on it by mistake. So try not to do that. So just go edit, undo, and then you come down here, just lock the layer, and do that in the other project as well, just so that you don't accidentally move it, and this prevents you from moving it. Anyway, so a little bit about that. That's why with indoor lighting, you've also got a really poor image quality in you don't have any detail in the skin, because it's like mush. It's like mushy. There's no kind of detailed kind of focus on, so it's highly likely the scan's going to be not very good. And as you can see, the colors are changing quite a lot here, because it's kind of, there's something lit really brightly in the distance behind him. And sorry, I'm just zooming out. He's got some heavy shadowing there as well in the eyes, massive shadow. You want to avoid that stuff. So yeah, essentially, because he's constantly moving around without doing any pauses, and the indoor lighting isn't doing you any favors, yeah, it's not good enough. Here, there's just too much of this crazy mad shadows and stuff like that, and it's soft, as you can see, because he's not stopping moving at all. It might look good quality, but it's not. It's like a trick. As you even close up, he doesn't pause enough. There's a you got to get into the habit of like zooming in like 800% into everything. I mean, so look at the quality of that. You don't have any detail there, basically. It's too much motion blur. You have to avoid motion blur at all costs, and that means standing still, basically. Yeah, you got one frame there that's kind of all right, but if you look, sorry, mate, and try and keep the head in the same place on the screen. You know, don't kind of move the focal point to the top of the frame, bottom of the frame, left to right. Try and keep it in the middle, because essentially you're just adding perspective to it, or distortion. Because if you move really close to one of the edges of the frame, you're not focused on it anymore, and it's getting distorted, because phone cameras are extremely susceptible to distortion. So anyway, later on I'll show you what the scan came out of that one, but it was kind of, I could have fixed it up, but it would have been a lot of work. This one here, miles better, full bright overcast day, and let's just zoom in, check out the quality. So immediately you can see the quality is way better. You can see all the stubble, like I said. Look at the hair is really neat. You can see all the pores, you can see all the hair, everything. So that's my main test, and then he does zoom out a bit here. For some reason this one's kind of quite heavy on the machine to read it. But you've got all the detail, everything there. Let's zoom in even more, because I like to zoom, because you have to examine. This is the most important part of scanning something in, by the way, guys, because if the quality is crap going in, don't expect the quality to be good coming out. You have to have sharpness. If you don't have sharpness, then don't even waste your time doing this stuff. You're going to get crap every time. Alright, anyway, so we're going to have a look here. Look at that frame. And yeah, basically they're all pretty damn good. So this one's exceptionally good. This one would have been great in 8K. I mean, it came out really good anyway, but essentially that's what it looks like. And again, if you're going to film, avoid this kind of blue nonsense. Don't kind of, whether you've got a dirty lens or something, hide behind him to get the proper dark colors here, because you don't want this, and it's going to ruin the texture if you're after textures anyway. But I'm not doing that at the moment. I'm literally just getting these for 3D prints, so I'm trying to avoid any blooms or any kind of motion blur or anything that changes the color, because you can see it just goes all grey. You've lost all the blacks here and whatever, and then go around, and then again it's all dark around this side, but whatever. I'm not bothered about the hair, because we've got to draw it anyway, but we're going to scan it anyway, just to have like a placeholder to make it as accurate as we can. So anyway, there we go. All the frames are super sharp. Maybe that's why it's taking so long to load. H265 is a dog. So this is really just to highlight to you, you know, the fact that it's sharp. There you go. That frame's sharp. This frame is sharp. This is 400%. So essentially just go through the whole lot, take one out, 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 and try not to take one out that's literally one frame after the other one, because you're just going to confuse it, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to just have like one frame there and then the next one like there. You want it kind of, I don't know, lay out 50 dots across your timeline here, and then just kind of do one there, one there, one there, one there. Don't kind of do like 15 there, one there, another one there. You want to make it fairly uniform. Now the way you take these frames out, you can click on composition, save frame as file, and then it gives you this okay, fine, save, yep. And then that adds it to your render queue. You're going to have a queue up 50 photos of this. And the way you do that is, let's say if I've queued up this one already, so now let's say we'll go to the next one. So we'll look at that. So we've gone from there to there. There's a bit of a change in view. And again, make sure they're sharp, so kind of go and do your whole kind of look at it, make sure it's sharp. Save frame as file. Now the only reason I'm going to the menu is because my keyboard is vertically facing up right now because it's a laptop, and I don't want to mess up the screen. So there you go, I'm going to do it the long way. So that's 1, 2, then click back here, and this is why we've locked it, because we have to click back on the picture every time just to get off the menu. And then we come in here. Let's say, I don't know, no, he hasn't done enough of a rotation. Alright, so they've got a bit of a rotation there. And again, always check the frame is sharp, so go fine, save frame as file, and then go to the next one. Okay, that looks alright. File, save frame as, and then go to the next one. Yep, that will do. Save frame as, file, click back, next one. Yep, save frame as, file, click, yep, that will do. It's all sharp, so it's all good. Save frame as file, and literally just go the whole way through like that. But like I said, don't just go, oh, I'll take that one, and I'll take that one, and I'll take that one. They're just too close together. You're just going to confuse the track, especially if he kind of pulls a different face, which he does at the beginning. In fact, he does this kind of, you know, when people swallow, they kind of do this kind of weird thing, and I don't know if you can see it here, but he does kind of swallow and kind of change the expression around the edges of the lips and stuff. And now that's quite important, because if people do that, then it also confuses the scanner. So have a proper look at the footage, and then make sure that you're not putting frames out when his facial expressions are different, because it's going to mess it up basically. So pay attention to the mouth area, and try and to get him looking in the same direction the whole time, because that again slightly takes kind of the tracker out off guard and confuses it. So don't put the blinks in, only use frames with their eyes open, and yeah, essentially just go through it all. Alright, I'm just going to skip out pulling all the frames. I'm going to show you the frames I've taken now anyway. So once you've done that, you know, save frame as, save frame as, save frame as 50 times, 45 times, 30 times, however many you kind of, you know, can get decent frames out. And don't be afraid to just ditch frames that you think might not work, because if you think they're blurred or anything, ditch them. So once you're done with that, you just click render, then it goes through rendering them all. And these are the frames. I'm just showing you the frames that I've took out, because I'm not going to go through this. As you can see, there's a certain amount of space that's semi-even between them all. This blue nonsense, like, cover the lens when you're doing that or something. Just move it, but move the sun behind, or do anything. Just don't let it go with nonsense blue stuff. Right, okay, and that's all that. And you didn't, what else was wrong with this one? Yeah, there wasn't enough from the bottom, I don't think. And one side was all that kind of washed out stuff. So yeah, don't start close and go back, because you started like with him like at the bottom and stuff. But essentially that's what I've taken out. So I've got a good circumference of him going around a little bit from the bottom there, and that's it. That's all I had. So you didn't do the kind of going around the middle, going around the top, looking down, going around the bottom, looking up. You have to do those 3 moves, that's all. Don't just go around them once. I mean, you can do that, but you're not going to get any information at the bottom and on the top. And yeah, you might get things looking weird, but whatever. That's done. Now let's load up Zephyr. Right, so I've opened up Zephyr and I've loaded up the first version that the guy sent me, which is all of these ones here. So it's the kind of indoor ones. So as you can see, if I look through here, you can vaguely see something. Let's go to the dense point cloud, click, and that's the dense point cloud. So hold on, let me just, As you can see, this side is lacking. So as you can see here, there's loads of information on this side that's missing, and in fact I'll show you the mesh because I've meshed this out. Textured mesh, click. There's your mesh. Now you're probably thinking, wow, that looks really good. Done, finished. I'll show you what it looks like for real, because normally this is what all kind of art programs, all kind of these scanning programs show you. I mean, you can map any old crap onto a half decent scan and it would look fine. So, but the problem is printing it out. So let's say if we just turn on the lights, you can immediately see how kind of, let's turn the color off. So the quality is not so great. I've touched up a lot worse than this, but this is what you're going to get with the indoor scan, basically. Pretty much zero detail all around. Anything that did have detail, like the lips and stuff like that, I mean, it's not terrible. That's a mesh, it's quite thick mesh still, but the quality was just not there. I mean, I could salvage that, but I'm not going to. And so bear that in mind. Remember this one here. I'm going to show you the other one in a minute, and then we'll start from scratch, just so I'll show you how I kind of get it like that. So this is what this one looks like, close up, you know, that's what it looks. That's the quality, not very good. Now I'm going to load the new one up. Alright, so here's the new one. As you can see, all the pictures are here. So let's have a look. Let's see how much better it is. So we'll go to the dense point cloud, click. And even the dense point cloud, as you can see, is pretty perfect. There's no kind of, there are a little bit of weird dots here because of the whole kind of bloom nonsense, light bloom type of affair. So it's not perfect. It would have been better without that kind of blue nonsense on it. But let's show you the mesh now. So we'll click on the mesh, click, and there your mesh. Well, there's your mesh, and see, now you've got the stupid texture burnt in because you've only got blue coloured from there. So let's zoom in a bit, and let's have a look at what the mesh looks like. So we'll turn off the lighting, and boom, look how nice that looks. That looks pretty damn sweet. It's going to be so quick to touch that up. So yeah, look at that. Sorry, just moving it around. There you go. So you've got total detail all over the nose. You've even got some of his stubble there. You've got the nostrils perfectly clear. The eyes are pretty damn good as well. As you can see, whoops, I'm zooming in too much there. But the eyes, everything came out really great. So this is going to be like, I don't know, I could probably touch it up in an hour. The ears came out good there. The ear came out pretty damn good there, even behind it and everything. So yeah, I'm super happy with this scan and these photos. Thanks for sending them. They're 10 times better than the other ones, even with that blue nonsense all over it. They still came out alright. Alright then, so we're going to scrap all this and we're going to start from scratch because that's what you're here for. And yeah, workflow new project. So we're going to discard all this. In fact, I'm just going to start from fresh. This is my work from scratch style. So if you follow this, you'll be able to do everything that I kind of do. But remember, the quality of your images is the key thing. If you've got lame video and you've taken out bad frames, which is why automation is not good for me, because I can't trust an application to decide which frame is good or not. It's got no brain, it doesn't know. The AI, I don't think it's got enough AI in it to understand sharp frames and not sharp frames. And I reckon it'll just give up 9 times out of 10 with difficult kind of lighting conditions, and it can't figure stuff out, especially with that kind of blue nonsense. It'll probably confuse it also. The best way is just to do it yourself. Do everything yourself. That way you don't need to rely on any special software or any kind of hardware or anything like that. This computer itself, this is a Wacom Cintiq 2 Companion. This is an old computer. I can do everything on this. ZBrushing like a dream. I don't need to rely on a hardcore computer or anything like that. I can do it on the bog standard, you know, 10-year-old computer. I don't need anything updated. I can just keep on doing it the same way, and that's what I want basically. I don't want to have to rely on something that has to have to go online and da 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 da. No, thank you. I don't want all that. I just want to do it here now and be done with it. I don't want to have to buy a new computer, upgrade, get more memory, get a better graphics card. This doesn't have any. This doesn't even have NVIDIA. This is like an Iris, whatever. This is probably the best thing I've ever bought in my life. For ZBrushing, you can't beat it. You just cannot beat the Wacom Cintiq Companion, or whatever it's called now, Wacom Home Studio or something like that, Wacom Studio. I can't remember, but in my opinion, this is probably the best thing I've ever bought in my entire life, and it's the only reason I actually learned ZBrush, because it means I didn't need to sit in front of a desk or something. I just sit on my sofa and sculpt away, and yeah, it changed my life. So thank you Wacom for that. So yeah, I had the back. There you go, Wacom. That's what the back looks like. But yeah, thank you Wacom. Just want to say, if you want to send me a new one, I won't say no. A little bit more powerful would be great, because this is 10 years old, but anyway. Right, so we're coming here, workflow, new project, right? So obviously, now you click on mask images, because we're going to want to mask the images. Check online for pre-computation or calibration and stuff like that. Yeah, why not? Nothing to lose. I'm not online right now, so it's going to give me an error. And you also got this one here, which I kind of recommend you actually clicking on. Before I wouldn't click on it, because essentially it's just like one click and just does the whole bloody lot without you going, do you want to do this bit? And now what do you think about this bit? And what do you think about this bit? Now, because of the problem with the Iris graphics card in this, the dots on the point cloud are far too small, therefore I cannot really kind of alter the first kind of sparse point cloud, which is kind of an important thing, because if you can see the mistakes in the point cloud and delete them, which I unfortunately can't show you because of the conflict, the graphics card or the drivers or something like that, then you get a much better image afterwards. But so everything that I'm doing is I'm kind of working blind. I don't know if the sparse point cloud is any good or not, because I can't see the detail well enough to tell. So unfortunately, you're probably gonna have better results than I will, and then deleting the dots that you don't like basically from the sparse point cloud, and it essentially deducts the photos that are causing those bad problems if you delete them. Sorry, this probably doesn't make a lot of sense to you. I haven't even opened anything yet. I'm talking about deleting points from point clouds. But yeah, essentially this one just does everything with one click. You basically tell them all the settings you want beforehand, and it just storms through and just does it all. So I'd recommend actually doing that. And I will click on that now. Oh no, I won't. Or will I? Yeah, I'll click on that now, and I'll go next. So this is where you add your images. So we're just going to go to the other folder. We're just going to take all the photos in. So we're just going to highlight the whole lot, like that. And unhighlight that, unhighlight that, and unhighlight that. Now what I normally do is I make folders, like call it the dump folder or bad folder. If I was you, go through your pictures and go do it again, double check which ones is there a little bit of blur in that? Get rid of it. Is there a blur in that? Get rid of it. Is that one kind of messed up? And get rid of it. Be brutal about it. And I've got, how many photos I've got here left? I've got 47, and I took about 60 frames from the After Effects project, so I dumped about 13 pictures because I didn't like them. Like I said, crap goes in, crap comes out. The more brutal you are, the better quality you're going to get later. Okay, next, so there are my photos. So we're going to click here and then click next, and then it goes unable to get online calibration data because I've stupidly gone next. I should go back and launch Masquerade because we need to mask the blooming pictures out, right? So you've got no mask saved, and you've got this one. So you zoom in here. Now I'm holding this button here to zoom, as you can see. The blue one you don't want, and we're going to want everything apart from his the background, which is one his neck and his head. Now again, if you've got sharp pictures, this goes so much easier. If your stuff is blurry, then obviously trying to cut one thing out from another thing, it's going to be a lot more difficult. And now this one, as you can see, it almost does it without any kind of worrying about the edges or anything like that. You do have kind of the occasional bits and bobs that kind of squeak past here, so we just get rid of that. Whoops. Again, blue gets rid, and red draws. And sometimes it's a kind of there's a little bit there, there's a little bit there. Don't worry about stuff like that. Worry about it if it's not going in. I'd rather have too much and then delete from it later, because this just means you gotta have extra mass at that area. as opposed to a dip or a divot or something. So go around cleaning the kind of hair off. Again, you have to, because these kind of colours are quite similar, it has a hard time kind of figuring out what to do. Again, don't worry about the hair too much because we're going to be drawing it again. We just want the rough shape of where it is, and that's all. We've got that tree. Yeah, okay, get rid of that, get rid of that. Red, blue, oops, blue, I should have the red one. And you can change the size of these things, but I don't bother, there's no point. Maybe it does have something to do with sensitivity, so you might want to, but for this tutorial I'm not bothering to. So there we have it, roughly cut out. Then we go to the next one and do the same thing. Now the main thing you want here is the face, really. If you have a bad scan, just completely ignore the hair, mate. Don't even bother. Only concentrate on the face with bad scans. With good scans you can take the hair. You're using it as like a guide. See, I just touched a little bit of the skin there, so it kind of chopped a bit of the neck off. But essentially there you go, you know, it's pretty neat. It goes around all the edges. You've got these little bits that will shoot out where the neck kind of touches other stuff, but you know, at the end of the day, don't worry about it. That can cut that, that can cut that. But see, as I showed you here, you know, I put a line through the red and it's still there. And then it's taking a little bit away from inside here. See that tiny bit there? So you can take that back in, and then it's going to not do anything, and then it's going to boost out sometimes. But whatever, if it does that, don't waste your time about an hour trying to argue over one pixel or not. Again, here, that's not part of his head, so I'm going to get rid of that. Or it could be his ear. If you want to have a look and the colours are in the way, just click here, delete, yep. Yeah, it's probably his ear, and then just press undo and it brings it all back. So that's a little way of doing that. And now we'll just take his hair in. I've been a bit too casual there. Whatever, we'll do this. Again, when you're taking photos, try and pay attention to what's going on in the background, because the less busy madness you've got going on in the background, again, the easier it will be. So try and choose, like, film them up against like a white wall or something to make your life easier. Or we could have walked up to one of these walls and just filmed him there. You don't even need to worry too much about the back of the head, because you'll be able to draw that in. So that's what I do. Don't try to avoid busy rooms, but even though you don't always have control of your surroundings, so literally just go through it like that. Again, as you can see, for some reason it didn't select the bottom of his chin here, but just go over it. And then you've got these, again, these little spikes sticking out. Get rid of that one. Spike sticking out. Get rid of that one. And again, don't be too concerned about all this. You're going to have to fix this up in ZBrush. This is just like, be as close as you can, but don't be too kind of over the top, because you know, it's just like a couple of pixels here or there. It's not the end of the world. Again, you know, I haven't even gone over and it's already deleting stuff from the other side. You're gonna, this is kind of stuff you're gonna have to just get used to. Don't worry about it too much unless it's really problematic, like just like the neck. Normally I would go through the neck and start deleting all these little bits that have poked out and stuff, but I don't think you really need to. Let them be there. They're not hurting anyone. They're not pulling anything from the background. So there we go. Essentially, that's good enough. There's some weird white line going across this picture here. I don't know what the hell's going on here now. Don't know. That was just some weird bug there. Interesting. Anyway, so that's that one done. All right, looking all right. A little bit too much in the hair department there, so get rid of that bit there as usual. Pulls far too much off, then do that little bit and then you're all right, and you've got still a little bit sticking out, but like I said, don't worry about all that stuff. So we go to the next one and you click on this one. This is like save and go next, and then you've got this little M that appear next to the ones that are done. So you come back here, click done, and try and go really close just to avoid all that nonsense that it does with highlighting crazy stuff. That way you get a much quicker kind of mask, as opposed to, you know, pulling in all the crap from the background. So you do a little bit there. A little bit on his head there, a little bit of the kind of sideburns area there. Then pull this, we don't want that stuff going on there. Get rid of a bit more of it there. Like I presumed it goes far too far in. Cover that back out, and now it goes far too far out. If it keeps doing that, just move on. Just say I ain't got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Right, so go next. Actually go back, because I noticed it's colouring the back window there, and the back window is not red. So yeah, kind of go through it like that. And then go through the next one. Whoops, wrong colour. Like, pay extra special attention just to that bit of hair at the back of the head and the eyebrows and stuff like that. Eyelashes, I mean, because eyelashes are, they cause you a lot of problems, because yeah, they're so thin, yet they come out as fat in mesh form. So I tend to scan them just to get an idea of where the eyes are and leave them in and just delete them later. I don't actually draw eyelashes in. So that's my kind of take on it. So there you go. Good enough for me. Little bit. If there's little bits missed off, don't worry about it too much. Go next. So we've written 5. Come down here. Now this is the boring bit, but this is also the important bit. Don't kind of, I would say don't rush it, but I will always rush this part, but just kind of be brutal. Be like, yep, move on, yep, move on. Don't kind of, that's why I prefer doing it here than in Photoshop, because you're just going to end up pissing around in Photoshop going, oh, I want that pixel, I want that pixel. It's like, don't care, doesn't matter. You're not, it's not going to cause you a great amount of harm to leave certain amount of pixels in or certain amount of pixels out, as long as they're not consistently being left out. So here you got, you know, whatever, I do my best, and then it's still kind of taking a little bit away, kind of in that gap there, but it's like, geez, are we going to argue over a couple of pixels? I would, but it's like, there's no point. Like here as well, a little bit sticking out, don't want that. So you have to kind of be as thorough as you can, and try and remember that, you know, some of his face is on the other side as well. Don't skip bits out. Like, you know, that's a part of his neck there as well. So go next and carry this on basically. I'm not going to go through every single frame, because that's quite tedious to watch me doing that, and I think I've kind of mentioned all the things that were kind of bothering me about kind of doing this kind of masking. The first one is like crap in the background. Second one is yeah, don't be too concerned about bits and bobs that float kind of or spike out. And the third one is make sure you get as much as you can and don't miss off bits, like this eye for instance, you know, it's there, make sure you get it in. And the eyelashes as well, I would get them in, because they're in other frames as well. But yeah, you get that kind of nonsense happening. And there you go. So that one's alright, that looks good as well. So yeah, the sharper the photo, the less bleeding out you're going to get. So it's for your own benefit to get sharp photos. But like I said earlier, we're not always in control over that. Sometimes I even forget to like tap my screen to get it to focus, and the whole damn thing's blurred. So and sometimes I've only got 4 photos of someone, and have to make do with that. I will show you some crazy ones that I've done up, that fixed up afterwards, but that'll be another day. And fix that bit, and that's that. See, so it does go pretty quick. Another what, 15 minutes and I'll be done. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish these off and then we'll come back. Whoops, back. Now, I'm just going to remind you, if you're in Masquerade, you can close it at any time. It doesn't matter, because it's its own program and it's already saved the masks you've done. So don't worry about having to do it all in one go. Here, just load it up again, and then it's got your pictures again, so you can just carry on and take off where you've kind of finished last time, and then just carry on doing it, and then it adds it on. Alright, so anyway, once we've done all that, discard all that nonsense, right? It will come up with this kind of not found, not found, not found, not found, not found. And it's only doing that because I don't know why. I'll click refresh sometimes and it comes up with this window. I'm like, why is it coming up with a window? The old version didn't do that. It just refreshed it and brought them all in. So with this one, I find all you do to get rid of all these not founds is you go back to here, and then you just go next, and they all appear there. So that's how you do that stuff. Alright, so we go next, unable to get calibration data. Well, I can come in here and turn it on. I don't think it even found it anyway. I wouldn't worry too much about that, especially if you've downloaded a new version. So we just go next, and then this part here. So this is going to ask you now for all those kind of settings that I was saying. Like, I always put it on human body if there's a head. If you've got a real bad head scan, sometimes it's better off putting it as a surface scan, but I'll get into that in another video as well. And I put it on deep. I put it on all the highest settings because I'd rather have more polys to play with than less. So you go next, human body again, ultra. This is for the dense point cloud stuff, so you're literally just piling it through. And this is for the surface scan, human body, ultra again. And this is it. Now this will create the whole thing from scratch, and I'll just click run, and that's it. So I'll come back when it's finished. But before I kind of leave and go and make like 15 cups of tea, you have to remember this bar is going to complete 3 times, because it's got to do the sparse point cloud, then it's going to do the dense point cloud, then it's going to do the meshing and stuff like that. So yeah, it's got to be a bit of a wait. Oh well, it can. I guess this is the first reconstruction. Alright, so reconstruction successful, and it's just gone and it's shown me that it's used every single photo, because if you do it with a poor quality footage, the occasional photo is going to not work. So finish, and this is what we got. We've got the head right in the middle there, and I'll just turn off the colour. There we go. So yeah, got some good details in the eyes, and the lips came out good. You got the chin came out well. The ear came out. Yeah, the ear came out pretty decent. That will smooth out really nicely. How about the other ear? Yeah, everything came out pretty good in this one. So behind both ears, the hair is actually pretty usable in my opinion. I can definitely use that for a good base. Obviously the top came out weird, and it's done that kind of weird cut through business, but whatever. All in all, it's come out pretty good, so I'm pretty happy with that. Now obviously we're just going to come out here, because you click the one button at the beginning, it's done all of it. So all you really need to do now is export. Alright, so I just noticed I was going to export it, but I think you've got to go through the stages of making textured mesh generation. You've got to generate the text, the mesh. I didn't do that. I just don't care about this stuff here, whatever, just to get to the export stage basically. So it'll do all this nonsense. I may as well leave it now. It doesn't take long to do it. It'll be like a couple of seconds, and it's done. So yeah, it looks like that after the one click you need to do the textured mesh generation just to get the dialogue to export it as an OBJ. Otherwise you have to export it as some kind of intelligent OBJ or something it said there. I can't remember. I think an FBX file it creates, but I don't know how, considering you haven't actually done the texturing. But anyway, it's almost done. So it's not using much memory, and it's kind of, don't know. Alright, it's done. Finish. So now you got your textured mesh. You just turn the light off and put the texture on there. So there you have it, the head with all the proper texture on it. So yeah, really good quality on that one. Everything seems to be in the right place as well. Alright, so what we're going to do is, I don't need the light. It's basically just export it. We've got this dialogue now lit up, so we come in here, textured mesh, upload to Sketchfab seems to be the default, even though I don't ever do that. I just click it to OBJ. I don't really care about the rest. I might as well click it as a single texture and export. And that gives me the export OBJ. So we're going to come in here and I'm going to save it here. I'm going to call it Anon, for anonymous, in case you're wondering, because obviously I don't want to give his name out. Save that. And that's it. You're now ready to go to ZBrush. So we're going to go to ZBrush after we've finished exporting this. Take a little while, not much, it's done, there you go. Boom, we're in ZBrush. We're just going to import what we've done. Face scans, any, click, OK. And then bring that in. And this is where we can see how nice it looks. Look at that, man. Don't tell me that's pretty damn good for a phone, right? It's not bad at all. Just needs the hair sorted out a bit, and yeah. Alright, so now what I tend to do is I will find myself a center point that it locks to, like that, by holding down. So this is why I like buttons, because I got this button, was it shift? Yeah. So we're now locked, so what we want to do is rotate it in a way that makes sense. So when we lock it, it will lock on the forward and side profiles perfectly in the bottom. Otherwise it just gets a bit annoying having to work with stuff that's off center. Now again, if you turn this off and then click on that button with the shift held down when the lock is off, you reset the axis, which is quite important, because otherwise you've got a weird off axis. Apart from that, we're leaving that alone and we're going to start drawing. We're going to start cleaning this up. Alright, so I get my clay build up selected. Now I did try these other brushes, these what is it, smooth valleys and smooth peaks and stuff, but I don't think, oh shut up, it's asking me. When I do that, I'll smooth stuff out, I still get left with these little dimples. I'm not really keen about that. So I don't know if I'm doing it wrong or something, maybe larger size, or maybe the strength, more strength. I just find that it's not, I just don't have the control. It's like I'm giving the control to the computer again, and I don't like it really. I don't know whether it should be up or down, and I tend to just kind of decipher all that stuff on the fly. So let's say one bump might be too high, but then I might have to lower the whole lot down. So as far as I'm concerned, I stick to just your regular smooth. So yeah, that's my personal preference basically, because I like to do all the smoothing myself afterwards, because it's essentially, you can just go through it all and just go, alright, and then just get a big brush. So I can go like that, go over all the areas you want to keep, right? Where is it? Here, there. Don't want to ruin the nostrils. So really, if you want to just speed through it all, not being super accurate and stuff, you can just get a massive brush like that and then just start smoothing it all out. And you know, that's like the ultra cheap and dirty way of doing it. I'm just showing you this because I'm not going to do it this way. I'm going to do it the proper way, because I like doing things the proper way, you know. So essentially that's kind of, you know, what it looks like in just a 1 minute, with smoothing basically done to it, because you had such a good scan. But we're not going to do that. we're going to go all the way back and we're going to do it from scratch the proper way. Alright, so here, just get rid of that. Okay, back to basics, right? I still think I need to rotate it a bit. What I tend to do is you've got the lines here of ZBrush, so I kind of just try and line up the center of the eyes with the line when I'm trying to just rotate it to make it straight. And then I'll just lock that in. Oh. Unlock it, and then lock it, and then relock it again. Good. Alright, so we're going to start basically getting rid of all these little subtle things, because later on you're going to be able to naturally smooth it because you've done all this kind of the legwork yourself. So get a smaller brush and just kind of, we're playing the whole kind of lumps game, right? So we're going to fill in the holes and we're going to knock down the peaks. That's it. And for this we're not going to be looking at the source material with a photo, because that just slows us down. So we're just going to be doing this by sight. So obviously when you hit a hole like that, fill it up, and just get rid of that. There seems to be some anomalies there. It's got a little bit of a raise there. Try and find a form of the shape to go along with, don't just randomly do it like right now. And also look at the other side, because symmetry makes things look generally quite right. So I've got in there, just take that, delete that bit, lower that, raise that, lower, smooth it a bit. Actually, I forgot to, the most important thing you've got to do first actually is getting rid of all the random stuff. So we'll go to subtool, and then what we do is we'll split, and then what we do is split to parts. And what that does, normally when you make something with photogrammetry, you get loads of crap floating bits that are not even attached to the model. With this one we've got very few, in fact. Can't even, no we don't, we've got quite a lot. See, you got, no we don't, very little. Just got all of these random little bits and bobs, and then select your thing and just go del other, and that'll just get rid of all the little stuff that isn't a part of it but is still geometry floating around. So we got rid of that. Now we can carry on. So here we've got this little dip. I'm just going to make it, I'm going to raise it, but not too much. Soften that bit down. So we're just going to try and normalize everything, get an even height over everything. So whenever I see a dip, I'm going to draw in a line, and when I see a lump, I'm going to knock it down, and that's it. And I'm just going to go around, and that just makes my smoothing a lot easier with a smaller brush that'll go through it in my own kind of comfort, basically, because I don't like to use that kind of even what do you call it, the smooth valleys and stuff like that. I think I put negative on it, I thought so, yeah. And also, if you can get to keep all this stubble, I'm going to keep the stubble because I kind of like it, and drawing stubble is really hard. You're gonna have to get some. I don't have any alpha brushes made up yet for that. So yep, carry on going through it. A little bit there. Basically, just go around looking for those bumps, just like in my other video. Let's see what our geometry. Oh, it's not too bad on the bottom, but it is kind of weird there. This area, obviously, it's got some holes in it. Fill that up. We'll retopologize it later if we need the geometry in there, which we probably will do. So I'm just going to fill it all up. Now I'm just wondering how much of this I'm going to cut out of the video, because unless you just want to watch me completely go from start to finish, which I may as well. I said I would, so I will. I'm not going to skip anything out. It's going to be a mega long tutorial, but whatever, you asked for it. So there's that bit there, that looks a bit odd. A bit of stubble there, lumpy, knock it down. I mean, sometimes I don't even know where I am on his face. I'm just looking at like anomalies and trying to smooth things out. Here again, like when we were talking about those masking bits off, these are the kind of bits that stick out here. These are the bits that kind of show up as anomalies, but just fill those in. So I'm smoothing with this button here, and then I'm taking away with this one. So this is minus digging, and without it, it builds up. Just thought I'd show you. That's why I love my buttons, and I just can't stand to have a tablet without any buttons, and you have to do everything on the touch screen. You don't have any. No thank you. That's why I love my Wacom. Thank you very much. Alright, we got that. Now for the neck, what I tend to do is I'm just gonna slice it off like that. Probably not gonna do it that way, and I'm gonna use the slice brush. Do it that way. Alright, I think that's done it. Let's have a look. Yeah, I think so. So now we can just literally just select this one here, and then we can group split. There we go. Now it's split the bottom and the top, and you get an absolute razor cut there basically. I mean, for what we're doing, we don't need a razor cut, but I just thought I'd show you how to do it. This is an old version of ZBrush as well, so you get much cleaner cuts in it, the newer one, than this one, because sometimes you just get mad stuff that shoots off around it. And then what I'm going to do is just take this one, delete it, and then just close the cap it basically. So take that and just, where is it, close holes, done, and that's that. Right, now I may as well soften that border around. I'm going to just go around now. Maybe get rid of some of that, get rid of that. I'm probably going to have to re-cut the bottom off as well anyway, because yeah, it's just hard to manage. So yeah, anyway, we're not bothered about that right now. I'm probably going to go over it in a minute anyway. So whatever, I'm going to leave it. Alright, so let's just pretend that's fine. So I'm just going to carry on smoothing bits off. Alright, so yeah, even the back came out pretty good. Not too much to do here even. I'm probably going to take longer over this than I need to, because I'm just going to be like really wondering what needs to be done. I tend to put back face mask on as well, so if you're trying to do these thin areas, you don't cut through, because if you don't have that on and you kind of, let's say you carve something in, then it's going to come out the back. Or if you build something up, then it pulls it out sometimes. So if you have that on and you make a hole there, then it doesn't make it a hole in the back. Just thought I'd add that. So it's, when you're dealing with thin bits, you're better off with the back face on. Now these ones you can just go ahead and start smoothing the ears out, because you got enough polys there, and even though there's a weird hole in his ear which shouldn't be there. So I'm not sure what to do with that, and I'm not really sure how the shape of his ear is, if he's got quite thin earlobes or whatever, but I'm just going to go along and kind of build the edge of his ear up, because the edges of stuff like ears, they tend to get a little bit lost because of those little tiny hairs you've got, and kind of got this little white backlight, kind of, it picks up all the lights on them. But let's see what we can do here. So I'm going to delete the inside layer like that. Then select the rest, hide PT, double hidden, and close holes, and there you go. It's closed that hole up real nicely, and that's without you kind of using any kind of fancy business. It does have less polys, mind you, but whatever. Auto groups. I'm just going to carve that back down, smooth it out. Now if you want to see what it looked like before, you can just go like that. So there's still a bit of a dip in there. get that stuff back in there. But yeah, I'm gonna leave this ear bit till later because the bit that I've replaced has got less geometry in the middle, and it's obviously can't play around with the stuff without the geometry there, and the smoothing acts funny. And yeah, I'm just gonna leave it till later for now. I'm just gonna smooth. Inflating, what the hell? Alright. Trying to get it, but I'm just going to leave it. Don't know what's going on here, but I'm going to smooth it out, get a bigger brush. Don't be afraid of using the bigger brushes. Fine brushes, there's no point using them. You want to see the detail that you're changing. Alright, there, just filling in stuff how I feel it might look like. There's this business here, don't know exactly what I don't know what that business is. Like, I normally clear the ears, give them a clear room. So I don't know what the hell's going on there. Probably some mistake or whatever. Unless his head goes in this area, but I don't know. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I'll just do the back of the ear. Smooth that all out. Smooth that all, delete that all, get some gaps in there, get some gaps in there. Get rid of that, 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 get rid of that. I'm just kind of jamming in myself on the kind of lines that kind of appear, then smoothing them out that way so you don't get these weird irregularities. So what do we do next? We shall do his nose, maybe? Let's have a look at the nose. The nose has got a lack of polys again, so I'm just going to temporarily just drill some holes in there. And something's going on with that side. I don't know if he's got a kind of nose with that shape on him, so I guess I'll have to wait and see later on. I need more polys there. I'm running out of polys on this one. Someone's stolen them all. Whoops. Now the nose, these areas around the nose usually need a lot of work. In this case, it looks like it came out pretty damn good. So I'm not really gonna bother doing it, because normally you need to add kind of lumps on here, because the light kind of peeks out and makes it all weird looking, but it looks pretty damn good on here, to be honest with you. So that doesn't even need much work. Just gentle smoothing here, just to try and keep as much subtle details as I can, basically. In case you're wondering why I didn't just smooth it all out, it's because I want all these subtle details, you know. Because if you just mega smooth it all out, you're ruining the subtle details as well. Even if the subtle details are fabricated by the photogrammetry program problem. But yeah, so let's just fill in that little gap there. Yeah, got a little gap in there. Smooth that out. Smooth that out. And the beauty about being quite crude about it, especially with the stubble, is that you can probably just draw in the stubble and no one will even notice, because it's just kind of lumps of polys. But that will be for later. So that goes there. Alright, I think I'm faffing about a bit too much myself now. Maybe go in with something there with the nose. I don't know if the nose goes down, if it should be like that. It probably should be, because it's like that on the other side. Either way, I don't want to spend too much time on the nose because I don't have the polys to play around there properly. The mouth, again, just look at the dots, smooth it around there. I'm looking for anything else that kind of looks uneven to me in my eyes. Obviously I've got some weird stuff going on here, but that's just for now. You've got to remember this is going to be like smooth as a baby's bottom afterwards, because I'm not really into the whole skin pores and stuff like that. I mean, you can do that if you want it, but I'm going for a stylized look anyway. Okay, now so what you're probably gonna see me doing it. You probably think it's very kind of remedial. You don't need to be doing it. In some cases you're right, but in some cases it's just kind of it's like my mental checkbox. I don't move on to the next stage until I'm happy, so I kind of go around the image a lot, just looking at it, making sure I haven't missed anything, stuff like that, because it's good to catch things as early on as you can. Alright, we're going to go in for the eyes now. So I don't know what that is now. As you can see, these are the eyelashes. Yeah, you may as well just get rid. So I'm just going to smooth them out into a lump, and then they get very concentrated like that, and then just knock them down. Don't worry about it. Done. Let's got rid of that. Just the same with the bottom one. Just smooth them out, and then kind of just delete them in. Once they're low enough, you can just paint them out basically. We're gonna pop the eyes in at the end, because that's what you're waiting for. I'm joking. The eyes only take a few minutes to do anyway. But yeah, you just essentially, like, you know, I could take a picture of like some old Roman art that's been damaged, and I can essentially recreate it doing the same thing as this basically. You're kind of looking where things are, following lines, following a path, and yeah, just following it around basically until you got what you desire. Yeah, I don't really know what I'm doing here. I know that that's that kind of scanned eye in the middle. I've got some weirdness there, so I'm just gonna go over it until I'm kind of happy with the general area, because the eye is really important for making the model look like the person. If the eye looks crazy, then it's generally not going to look right. They've obviously got to be kind of semi-symmetrical, maybe not perfectly, but if they look completely different, they're not going to work. And remember, the eye kind of goes in under the other one, so this one goes over this one a bit. Right, so maybe it's just some subtle additions there. Don't know what's going on with this eye. Maybe it's came down too much. Drawing the kind of the secondary lid in there. Don't know what's going on there again. I'll probably get rid of that. Get rid of that. This is where you get a lot of doubled up geometry normally when you do scanning. It kind of confuses the lines with each other, and then just starts kind of going mad. And yeah, this generally has to be knocked back from the side. This part usually goes inwards, so you get the eye going in as opposed to sticking out. Alright, I think this is where I left off. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to start smoothing the face out according to what the picture looks now. So I think I've noodled about, messed around on this, kind of just haven't really done much fixing tiny things, but every little thing you fix does make sense later on, and just does make your life easier a bit. So don't think that you've wasted your time, and the more you spend time kind of looking at features and stuff like that, you're learning anyway. So don't think you're wasting your time kind of having done something. I often kind of do a lot of changes and then kind of rewind the time and then start fresh again quite a lot as well. So you've got to constantly kind of monitor how you're doing, what you're doing, how you worked before and stuff like that. So I'm fairly happy with it now. I'm just going to smooth it out, and I'm going to load up the pictures next to it, just because I just want to make sure it's kind of accurate now, because when you're doing eyes and kind of eyelids and stuff like that, often the scan gets confused with one eyelid, another eyelid, kind of stuff like that. Alright, so basically this is what I do. I mean, I've got my ZBrush window here, which I kind of semi-maximize. It kind of goes white and weird at the bottom, but if you want to bring it back, you just kind of move your mouse over it and stuff like that. It comes back, don't worry about it. And I've got my other kind of window over here with kind of all the different frames. This is just literally just picture viewer. So all I'm going to go to now is I'm going to look at his eyes and have a look at how they look. And then basically I just got this to one side and that on this side here. I mean, I don't need the whole space to draw an eye, so an eye for an eye. There you go, same size, and now I can look. So I know that this big bulge is wrong because there isn't a big bulge on the other one. So start there. So we're going to take, like I said, the clay build-up brush, and we're going to just, you've got to note how the eye looks. So we've got kind of that rounded bit on the bottom, that kind of the other eyelid tucks underneath, and then it kind of raises off to the kind of join the eyebrow area. So this part looks kind of alright here. So yeah, I don't know if it's going in or out. I'm just going to knock it down a bit. I'm going to fill in this hole here because there's a bit of a dip there. Smooth that out. I'm going to start smoothing stuff out now. So all this lumpy stuff is going to go away because we're going to sort that out. Got a couple of creases there, you can draw them in if you want. Right now I'm not really bothered about creases, and often everyone's grateful that you don't put the creases in the prints. So I wouldn't worry about tiny creases here and there. It does have a little spot there or something, but whatever. Alright, so just get rid of that. Get off. And normally the eye kind of goes in here, so kind of like that, as opposed to before. It kind of, there's a dip here, and the scanners obviously kind of sometimes get that wrong from experience. And obviously there's a dip there as well where the eye goes in, and just want to kind of imitate that here. It's gone a bit far out there, so yeah, just keep an eye on that. That's all right there. And then you've got that dip in there. Then you've got this bit here. Smooth all that out. Smooth that out, delete a bit there, draw a bit extra there, and we've pretty much, I'm quite happy like that. I can knock that down a bit. And now we know the gap here is too big because there's a tiny little line there and you've got a massive gap there, so just kind of bring that line down and fill the gap, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, fill that gap here because that's a little lump there. I'm debating on whether to increase my poly count. I might actually increase my poly count because I don't have that many polys to play with. I might dynamesh it, but for now I'm not going to bother. I kind of tend to leave the dynamesh until last. Do as much as you can without dynamesh. You'll learn how to manipulate the polys better anyway this way, because you'll understand how it relaxes and smooths and stuff like that. I'll go into the smooth brush end a little bit as well, because some people only use the kind of the alternate smooth brush, and which is kind of wrong, but I'll show you how I use the smooth brush. And yeah, that's all right. We can get rid of that. You want a bit of a ramp going up, so that's looking all right. Smooth that out a bit. Now with the eyes, we'll just delete the eyes for now, right? So you want to do the eyes, we're going to do the eyes. Get rid of it. You can't remember, we don't even know if they're in the right placement, so you always have to have a little play with eyes. And I'm just going to smooth that bit out. Draw a bit in, smooth it out. Now when you're smoothing stuff out that is not quads, it's tris, then you do have to kind of use the alternate smooth, because it, like I said, it relaxes them at the same time as smoothing them, putting them in much more favourable places, and then you can obviously manipulate them once in their more favourable places. So yeah, it's not difficult to play with tris. You just have to have a little bit of practice, and you have to just know where they go. It's just like anything else really in 3D, just like subdividing things by putting lines and loop, what do you call it, ring loops or something, or edge loops. Then you know how it's going to smooth by distancing them further and further. It's the same thing with it, with the tris, except it's just a bit more ugly. Alright, but we're going to smooth them all out nicely. Just make a nice big cavity, because we're going to put another eyeball in there, and all that kind of this little dot here, I kind of draw that in from I just kind of do something like that in there before I put my eye in. So I have that kind of little dot, or you can kind of manually put another ball in, but I just kind of draw one in because the eyes are quite small when they print it out anyway. And this is for printing, by the way. This is not for kind of game design. I'm sure you can use it for game design, kind of re-topologize it and put all the lines in, but I'm not really focusing on that at the moment. Alright, so we got a bit there. Just remember, try and make everything smooth, and if something's wrong, then you can just change it later. Like I said, you can just knock it all out with one brush really quickly, but I like to kind of focus on, let's say, if I've got like this kind of raised bit here, I'll go over it with my smooth brush, and I'll kind of manually raise it just so that I know it's not going too far out, and I'll deliberately leave the edges so that I'll smooth this bit later, so there's a natural crease after the bits that I'm smoothing. Now I'm going to focus on the smooth brush, because obviously if you press it and you let go, it smooths in another way, and as with anything, you're pressing the minus button essentially to change it. And as you press the minus button, let's say if you press the the smooth button to smooth, sorry, I take that other stuff back. Right, so with smoothing, you press this, you kind of press the shift button for the smooth brush. However, when you press it down and let go of the shift button, it does an alternate smooth, and what that does, hold on, I might be able to show you it, even I'll show you here on this side here. I'll put it on this, right? So if I just use the smooth brush, look at it, look what happens. The polys just kind of stay exactly where they are, right? Undo, undo. Now if I use the reverse smooth brush, look what happens. You can see the polys are reorganizing themselves. I don't know, it's kind of hard to see here, but essentially when you press the smooth brush and smooth stuff, it's like smoothing something like that. Now when you let go of the smooth brush, after initially pressing it down and then smoothing it with the alternate way, it's like pulling up and smoothing. So one's pushing down and smoothing, the other's pulling up and smoothing. So one of them lowers the polygons and one of them raises them, which means if you're only using the one that raises it, then you're only raising, essentially raising all the polys. And I don't think many people want to kind of change the actual height of the poly, so you have to use a mixture of pushing it and pulling. And it's quite useful in this sense, because let's say if you've got subtle lumps, then that's when you pull, and if you've got that's when you push. If you've got subtle dips, that's when you pull. So essentially go wherever you see large areas like this, first I kind of push, and then when I see kind of a dip like here, I'll pull, or kind of do the alternate one, and that way you get a really nice smooth uniform surface, and without kind of overly kind of ruining the details as well. I don't know, I haven't actually seen how much stubble he's got where it ends and starts, so I'm just going to randomly smooth this part here. I don't know, did I split it? I didn't split this one. I could have sworn I split his hair before, but or whatever. I guess I didn't. So now smooth that down, let go, push it down, let go, push it down, let go. Now there's a dip here, so I'm going to raise it, push it down, let go, push it down, let go, push it down, let go, push it down. There's a dip in there, so I'm going to let go. There's a raised bit, so I'm going to push down there. And the combination of the two are so subtle that you get really nice, subtle, smooth, subtle curvature over all of it. So you don't get that weird lumpiness. Alright, so I'm just going to do, this is all kind of, like here I see a dip, now I see a lump, so I'm going to be letting go here and pushing down there with the smooth brush, letting go, pushing down, letting go, and then you just kind of smooth it out really nicely and uniformly. But anyway, that's that. So yeah, push it down, draw a bit in, push it down. This bit looks like it's raised here. Push it down, raise it, push it down, raise it. If it's too much of a gap, we can fill it in. I think he had some crease lines there on forehead, but I think they were fake. They just were artifacts. So let's just smooth that out. Right now you just want it all super nice and smooth, but at the same time trying to hold as much facial sculpture details as you can, as in all the lumps and stuff like that. We're not worrying about skin pores and stuff like that. So we're just smoothing out all the kind of weird, what do you want to call it, facial details, or facial, or skin basically. I can just use a bigger brush, but I like doing things, like I said, bit by bit, because it gives me more control, and I just want full control over every single thing. Alright, so smooth that out, smooth that out. And then after you do all this, you'll notice all the areas that are just like looking a little bit odd. So I'm just smoothing that out. The nose, there's always fun working with the nose because it's always generally wrong, so you have to spend time fixing it. There's probably details, it's either too big, too long, whatever. I like big noses personally. So I have no issue with any size nose, big or small, each to their own. I probably have to dynamesh it. I don't have that many polys under the nose, but whatever, let's just carry on smoothing it all. We're probably going to do some dam standard, get some creases going back in that nose bit. So here, just simple, let go, push it down, 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 push it down, let go, push it down here. Because if you do it bit by bit, you follow the contours of the face. So here I'm going to be pushing down, here I'm going to be letting go. I'm just following the lines. So often it's like you have to think of the weight of the skin, how would it naturally droop, and then obviously if you kind of go, right, well there's some skin there, it will go heavier here, so you know it would have to, the line's going to have to go like that. So you don't start like imagining crazy stuff and making stuff up. You have to follow the human form properly. I mean, obviously I've done hundreds of these, so I kind of gotten used to it, but I can understand as someone who's first starting out, it might be a bit tricky first. He's got a weird little moustache there. It's not really prominent, so I'm not entirely sure what to do with it. Facial stubble can be quite tricky. Don't know what's going on there exactly, so we'll leave his little weird moustache, and I'm just going to kind of smooth out the bits that I think are alright. Don't know how deep this dip is here, but whatever, I'll fill it in a bit just to make it smooth. Just like the bottom of his, whoops. So I'm just kind of looking there at his chin. So what can I smooth from his chin? He's got this smooth area here that's semi-smooth. We can always add little bits of stubble in later, don't worry about it now. I don't know how much of a double, kind of this lump he's got here, doesn't look like there's that much of one there. So whatever, I did a little bit smoothing there. A little bit flattening, even it out, whoops, undo. Smooth it out a bit, do some lump stuff. Alright, let's do the lips as well, because the lips, just kind of go around the whole model doing bits by bits. You're going to go around it a couple of times, so get off. Alright, so get smaller brush a bit, smooth it out, and start hoping that the mouth doesn't look weird, because that's normally what it does. Alright, so we got that bit there. Now obviously there's some business going on under the lip. We don't have such a good shot to look under there, but we can always look from other angles, so let's just smooth the rest first. Smooth that off there, smooth that there, smooth that there, smooth that down there, smooth that around, smooth that there, Got some, don't exactly know how it works here. There's some, he's got a little bit there, a little bit of stubble there, he's got some stubble there, doesn't he? Yeah, I might have to get a different angle. He's got some lump there, a line there and a line there, so I'll have to kind of put that in. So here he's got kind of a little, this line here, that has to be there, draw that in, fill that in. He's got another line there, there's something going on there. Anyway, leave that. When you work on mouths, these are very important. You have to get this right, and the kind of the shapes of the lips right. The lips kind of are very telling. If they look wrong, it won't look like they do in your photo. Alright, so that's that. He's got quite pronounced lines here. Some people don't, you know, different races, different genders and stuff. Then everyone's face looks slightly different. You've all got your biological traits from what continent you were born on and stuff like that. So bone structures change, facial features are very different in some people. Kind of, even I'm surprised sometimes. I'm like, well, I haven't seen that kind of a smile before, or kind of a weird mark on their face, or a line, or but whatever. Everyone's different. So now we're gonna smooth that bit out here. Smooth this all off. So here we go from the side. It's important for the ear as well, because there's no other way obviously of seeing an ear unless it's from the side. Alright, so we've got a bit of the lips here, and we know exactly where some more of that stubble is. So what you can do now is just kind of outline it with a smooth brush. So we're going to go for a little bit there. We're going to kind of make it a little bit more faint there. It's got none there at all, none there, none there. Got a little bit stuff up there, there. Alright. Got this kind of very subtle stubble. So I don't know what to do with that. But I'm going to fade off everything that I've marked off. And then I'm going to go back to the stubble later. Because I kind of like keeping it in, because it is a subtle detail. As you can see, you've got a slightly lumpy surface here. But I wouldn't worry about that now, we'll sort that all out later. Especially when you dynamesh it, you get loads of polys and you just mass smooth it out. Well, I can do it now, really, but yeah, I'm not really too fussed at the moment. Because I don't want to be pulling them out, pushing them in too much anyway at this stage. Here, obviously you can see a little line there, there's a line there, so that needs to be put back in. Just kind of, this bit's too much sticking out. Knock that down a bit. Just clean that up. There's a gap there. Alright, so with the dam standard now, we're just going to cut a hole in the edges of the mouth basically. So for now, let's actually go back to to one that's front view. So we're just going to go back here and just have a look at his mouth, just to see where the kind of here we go. So we push it in there, and that makes a deep hole, and then just draw it out. And the same on the other side. So make a nice deep hole there, and we'll just draw it out. And yeah, don't worry about the deepness yet or whatever. It's just the markers. So there you've got the kind of nice. If you don't make them deep, then they just look oddly shallow on your printed model. They have to be deep, because essentially they are it is the entrance to a cavity, and it's got to be dark around there. So if it isn't, it looks wrong. Right, whatever, I don't know why I did that, stupid. Right, so we're going to go like that, smooth the bottom out. I'll make it all proper later. He hasn't got the top bit, the moustache, he's only got this little weird lower bit, so we're just going to smooth out the top bit, so we leave the lower bit, otherwise it won't look like him, because you want to leave everything that is unique to that person essentially. So I'm leaving that, or the little moustache thing. Alright, he's got a spot there, but I'm not going to bother with spots, I can't be asked with that. Push it down, let go, push it down here, let go, smooth it out. See here, you've got a very subtle dip there. I mean, it's not that subtle, but let's say if I let go, look at it, kind of, look, I'm smoothing it. And see how it's kind of calmed down? So you push it down there, let go, push it down, let go, push it down, let go. and it's already completely smooth. Like it's nice and it's not lumpy basically. And if you're worried about it going, it's still a dip there, then just draw it in. Whoops, I'm on the wrong brush. Drip, 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 drip. Push it down, and there you go. It's pretty much flat. I mean, I would spend a lot of time learning how to even stuff out, because it's just going to make your life easier rather than trying to get a tool to do certain things. If you can just do it by hand, it will just save you so much more time messing about later. So you've got a lump there, fill that in, done. Alright, let's do his neck, because his neck is just going to be one mass smooth session. I'm just going to come in and just go hardcore on it. So that goes there. Let's see the side of his Alright, so he does have a little bit on the chin, but I'm not going to bother. Yeah, why not? Let's be proper about it. Whoops. And just draw that bit down in. And you've got this part, of course, with the eye, and this part here. I mean, the scan looks really good, so it's made my life a hell of a lot easier than it normally is. I've had some shocking scans that I've had to fix, but it's alright. I don't mind, actually. It's like therapeutics, having to fix something that's so messed up. You really need to use your brain to kind of figure out where bits went. Smooth that out, cut it in a bit. And remember, your eyes are rounded here, so this has to be rounded. If it's not, make it like so. And it kind of has like a S. It goes. Your eye goes in here. So there's always a kind of a deeper area where it goes in here. So if it doesn't do that in your scan, make sure you dig up like here. It's got to go. It's got to be deep. Like this bit here. As you can see, there's a track there. That's your eye. Essentially, your skull has got a hole there, so it's got to be inset. That's how you have to kind of see. You have to think, how does my skull look? And if it doesn't look anything like your skull, then it's just going to look weird. Right, because our skulls are unique to ourselves. No one else has the skulls we do. Alright, so here we've got some business going on. Don't know, I'm just evening up the curve. I don't know how this looks properly. I haven't. Oh, it's not too bad actually. So this might actually go over like that. And you've got this bit here. So I'm just going to kind of raise it up. Delete that bit, smooth it in so it goes around like that. I mean, window to the soul, eye is, I think that's the saying. Alright. Again, don't worry too much, you know, if you mess something up, you can always go around and fix it up. Get off. What is this off? Get away! My pen's really oversensitive. Sometimes I'm holding it and I touch the button, so apologies for that. When it kind of freaks out a bit. Just filling in the lines, making them uniform. Basically. So essentially just look at them, got that bit there. Obviously textures aside, you have to kind of look past that. This bit should be lower here. This part here is this part here, so you'll have to smooth it out because there's no hairs here. So see what it looks like smoothed out now, just knock the hair out. And let's check this bottom eyelid. The bottom eyelid goes to the edge of the other of the eye, right? So you have to make sure it matches on your one as well. In fact, I normally flatten out all the eyelids. I'm just leaving them now just so that you can see where they are. We can just do mega smooth on them later. I'm just trying to get the lids. I'm focusing on the lids at the moment. Even if you're a little bit off, don't worry about it. They'll still look alright. I may not even bother dynameshing it again because it's not too bad at all actually. You can go down standard, draw the kind of eyes in. Top bit, bottom bit. Probably too much bottom eye here. I'm thinking as well, this part's too big. I'll even it out. He's not a granddad, he doesn't have that big bags around his eyes, so try and take note of the age of the person you're doing it as well, and then a lot of things just seem either too much or too little. Alright, that doesn't look too bad at the moment. I'll smooth that out later a bit. Let's do the nose. See if we'll need to do the dynameshing. That bit comes down. It's not too bad on the nose either, so just smooth it and polish it up. Sometimes you need to add quite a lot to the lobes because it doesn't do a good job, but the scan was exceptionally good, so I don't need to do all that. Even caught the kind of subtle indentations here in the nose, so that's quite nice. And yeah, so we just do the cut out, smooth it out. Really don't have that many polys inside the nose, so I try and avoid demolishing it too much. So here we've got a bit of a dip, as you can see here. There's a bit of a dip there. It looks better from the front as well because this side has a dip, this side needs the dip. So I'm just going to delete a bit more there just for the symmetry because this one goes here, so I want that one to go a little bit there as well. Make the brush a bit smaller and just gonna create this lump in the nose where it goes down like that. Because like I said, you want all the kind of features to be as correct as you can. Get off. Alright, the lips now. Now, normally the tips of the lips always are cut off, so you've always got them missing on here. So you tend to have to draw the top part back on, like so, because it's always missing, because it's like white or just undefined. There's a kind of tip there and then goes back out, so we're going to try and kind of get that in here. Got a tip in there in fact, so we're going to make that protrude. Try and make the lips symmetrical as well, and I'm going to do the whole kind of make them stick out more on this side as well, because like I said, it tends to cut them the tips off. But don't make them too pouty either, so raise it on the top but not on the bottom necessarily. Let's get the bottom bit. Get off. So I'm just smoothing this all out now just to see what I'm working with the effect. I'm not really even looking at the picture. You've got to also note now the way the bottom line goes in here. So the bottom line goes in like so, and here it doesn't really go in, so we're going to just draw it in to reinforce it on the lips. And there we go, that looks alright. And sometimes you can leave this kind of double lip fold thing. You can just draw another line on the other side and then smooth it so that it kind of makes the lip more pronounced. But whatever, everyone's got their own style of doing stuff. This is kind of your territory. You've got to make it your own. This is how I do it. This is my look. So by all means, experiment. Do what you want. And this bit's rounded. So we're just going to create the S that pushes in more. So it's like shh, not just round. It's like in and out. And that's where the eye is. This should be like a sphere in there, and you've got that little bit of eye thing there, whatever the bit that makes you cry, I guess. But we're just on this eye, so it's almost done. It's worth putting a lip on the eye as well, because most eyes have lips, and we're not going to do the eyelashes I mean, because so they're quite fiddly. And you don't need them for the models. I mean, they do look more realistic, but whatever, you can do them if you like. I'm not doing them right now. I'm just going to phase the eye out because you don't need it. It's a multitude of eyes, and he's kind of this guy wasn't always looking in the same area. But he did a good job. You did a good job, mate. Don't worry about all my minor complaints. You've done pretty damn well to get a good quality scan like this. Right. That's on top. That's on top. Alright, that's looking alright. This part of the eye now I'm just looking at here. What can I change, or what can I do to make it look more like that? Can I lower this brow to make it more like the picture? But get the move brush and start moving bits and bobs around just to save just to get the shape right. We've got kind of a like zig, zag, zog, so I'll try and get all those kind of shapes in to your model, but then it'll just help with the quite linear here. This eye goes deeper in as well by the looks of it, so this is all going to have to get moved in a bit. This bit here goes in deep, which means this part of the nose is probably wrong, so we're just going to smooth it out. Give him a bit more flex to we'll give ourselves a bit more room to work with. And I'm not going to adjust too much because a lot of people's faces are asymmetrical, so this bit goes in more as well here, so I'm just going to cut it in. As you see, I'm just working with the kind of spacing on the other side just to make it look symmetrical and work. So, whoops, get off. So I'm just going to put a little bit there, a little bit more, put a line in there, take away from there. because there's a line there, so I'm just matching the lines and stuff like that. You don't need to be perfect, but the more kind of subtleties you get in, the more it will look like that person. Just going to get rid of a bit there, a bit there, a bit there. Draw on the lower side here because there's a bit there. Now there's a bit in there, so there's a dip and then a bulge, very subtle. So alright, I think we're pretty much there with the eyes. Looks pretty alright in my opinion. Don't worry about the eyebrows yet, we'll do that last as well. Let's check this nose again. Let's make sure the nose lobes are right, and they seem a bit wider in this one. So I'm just gonna correct them. We'll push this one in, it doesn't go so high. But it does come out a bit lower. Just pull it out. I told you earlier that it very rarely gets all the nose lobes correct, so you might have to do a little bit of maintenance on that. Generally always expanding them out, just because of the light and shadows and stuff like that. You get the dam standard out, do a little bit of carving behind, around, smooth it out. Same here, smooth that out. You can always do the same lot with the eyes and kind of all of that business. Just carve those lines back in if you really want them pronounced a bit more than they are already. Alright, I'm getting to the hair now, so we're going to get to the hair. I'm just going to start knocking out the hair, and this is how I work. I mean, some people just completely do one section at a time. I kind of get bored working on one area all the time, so I go to another area, and I've usually got multiple sculpts going at the same time. I've got like 5 or 6 of these going on at the same time, so I'll just put on I'll like watch some Love Island or something like that. Some trash TV, and just get on with it really. Now, I do have a lot less polygons here to work with, so you know it's pretty damn ugly. So, but like I said, well, I haven't said it, but 3D printing is really forgiving for modeling, so you'll get away with that. It will look fine, and when it's like that big, you really will not see those little bits and bobs. Well, that big, you know, if you could print it like, I don't know, my usual height is about 10 centimeters tall or something. So alright, I'm going to do his hair now. I'm going to separate his hair just to give you something new to try out. Right, so we're going to take the brush, a big ass brush like that, and then we're going to have a look at the sides of his head just to see where the hair does start and stop. And we're going to leave we're going to cut it at the sideburns, so we're just going to essentially mask off the hair. Yep, that goes there. What have we got here? No, carry on doing it. Don't know, is that is almost a part of it. I don't know what this lump is here. I'll probably just smooth it out. I don't want it. I don't want it. Yeah, I think it's part of his hairline was a bit there, but either way, we don't want that rubbish. Carry on going around, and do. We don't want that other under bit. We'll just go here. If they're not perfect, it shouldn't matter anyway. Come on. Whoops. Alright, so I'm going to take that. And we're going to finish just about there. And that goes to there. And then essentially just draw it up, draw it all out. Now put back face, whoops, do back face so you don't select some of the stuff on the other side as well, just in case you're not very good with the old rectangle. Don't know how the back goes. Hope it's alright. If not, sue me. Right, we got that bit there, that bit there, that bit there, that bit there. I love doing hair, by the way. I'll show you some pics. My inspiration. Alright, so we've kind of cut out the hair. Not cut it out, but marked it. It's marked for death. Alright, and then what we're going to do now is, oh well, first I'm just going to save it. Get off alpha, save as. I'll save it as Anon 4. Well, let's save it as Anon 5. I only do that just in case I get fed up and I want to go back. I haven't been doing it on this one as much. Normally I'm on like 25 or 26, but I'm not going to go back and redo this guy. I'm pretty happy with him. Split. Then you, I think I did that thing at the beginning. Yeah, split to parts. Okay. No, we're going to split to mask points. We've got bits here we haven't even done, but I won't worry about that. So we've got these two here. We've got this one and this one. So we'll turn that face off and turn the hair on. Then what we're going to do is we're just going to close the holes, and then we get the kind of a solid head or hair, and then we're going to come to the body and do the same thing. Close holes, and yeah, we've got this weird stuff here. Don't worry about that. Just paint it out. And what I normally do now is I actually draw the back of the head as if it's as if he has more of his head on him. So what I do here, I don't know if polys are actually not too bad. So what I'll do is I just draw it in, have your back face on here. Hello naughty. So I'm talking to my cat there. And then I'll just get a big brush, just so you can adapt some of the fade on the hair. Alright. So don't worry too much if it's a bit crazy looking. Are you going upstairs? And the ear, I'll just kind of undo, redo. It's done a little bit in there. I'm not too fussed about that, so I'll let it slide. Undo, redo. Yeah, that's alright. Just gives it a bit of a thicken it up as well. Don't need MRGB. And we're just gonna reconstitute, not reconstitute, but we're gonna remake some of what we've taken away, just as a kind of guide, not guide, but as a fail safe area, because if you want to blend some hair and you're going to run out, there's nothing underneath here for the hair to see through, so we need to actually redraw the head. Don't know what's going on there. What's going on here? I've got two colours. Let me see if I can get rid of that. I think my auto groups were separating the groups and it wouldn't let me smoothly draw between the groups, but I could be wrong. So we're going to dynamesh this at just a lower resolution, so 104, and that way, as you can see, it just throws a grid over it, literally like a square grid that goes bam, and if it's rounded then it just throws a separate grid there and a separate grid there and a separate grid there. So essentially you get polygons that are just like vertical lines. There's no curvature to anything, as you can see, nothing goes rounded. And as you can see, yes, throws and tries just to join the quads like there. So you've got a mixture of quads and tries and all sorts of madness and other polygroups in there, which I may as well just make uniform. And there you go. Right, so now my method is basically what we want to do is create a smooth version of the head, and then we're just going to draw over it. And then just think of the hair as a solid lump of stuff. So like, this is obviously wrong because it's rounded and there's no roundedness here, so we're just going to draw it in. Bam, 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 bam. Get rid of that. Round off all the edges. Got a little, it's got the kind of vampire thing there, so we do that. Don't know if it's quite there, but whatever, it's close enough. And again, we're just blotting things in at the moment, still too harsh. So alright, just dynamesh it again. Just when you've done a bit of work, dynamesh it. I've got something floating here, I've noticed. Don't know what that is. Did I close holes? Can I re-dynamesh it shut? Weird. Weird! I had to smooth it to dynamesh it. I'm just going to shave in the sides so it doesn't have a bouffon like that. Alright, so we've got some of the shape going in. So now we've got this bit here, so we're just going to draw them in solidly, like you've got that quiff. We're not going to draw the quiff. Why not a little bit of a quiff? Alright, so then we've got a bit that goes over here, like shum, 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 shum. Now these bits all flow like that as well. I think I deleted too much there. Just blot it in. Because you've got to remember, if you're drawing hairs, we're not going to draw individual hairs, but for every one line you make, you have two lines drawn automatically, right? And if I draw another line, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 lines and another line. So you're constantly going to be creating the illusion of a massive hair just by doing massive strokes. There, that goes around there. So I'm just looking for the direction of all those swirls. It's kind of a bit hard to see. But this bit kind of goes up around there, there. Might have done that too much. Whatever. Let's have a look later on. But trying to figure what that. See, that's enough. I can't figure what that is because it's so blue. But whatever. Let's kind of go with some random stuff. Got some hair that's just like sticking out. Sticking out. Doing wild stuff. Get off, man. Alright, that's kind of alright as a basic hair. So we've got the layering here. I guess. I tend to use fat brushes because you just get more done. You're trying this, it's starting already to get that bouffant look, getting that. The more times you go over it, the more lines you're going to have from the hair basically. This is a very dirty, quick way, so you don't need to remind me on how shouldn't do it this way. Do whatever works for you. We can add more detail in that later. On the top, and just do some flow lines. Look at the back of his head again. It all kind of comes out there, doesn't it? That's pretty much it really, that's his kind of hair. And now essentially just goes through it with a smaller brush and clean it up. And then put the eyes in and he's done pretty much. You can dynamesh it and sort his ears out a little bit if you want, but they're alright. I mean, they're a little bit bitty around the edges, but hell, why not? I've left his stubble as it is, so I'm just going to leave it like that. Might draw his eyebrows in as well. Alright, let's do this hair now. Get off. I hate when it does that. Do some cross hatching as well, so it just makes the hair look more dynamic as a lump. I'm sure you can get some brushes that do this, but I can, if you do it manually, you got control of all of it. That way you can just do like a thick layer, a thin layer, stuff like that. Alright, get the damn standard out. I'm going to start carving in some lines and shape. Alright, and yeah, I'm just going to block it out now. You want some flow, make it, just as long as it looks like it's flowing, you'll be alright. You basically just emphasizing a couple of the lines. You can even add like add a swirl if you want. That little quiff thing that he's got going on here. If you want. So now you can start like drawing in gaps and stuff. And you can do like layering, so one layer can go over the other layer and stuff like that. But in a nutshell, we're kind of done with the hair already. It's like hyper stylized, but normally I don't do it so bitty like that, so I'm just gonna carve it in a bit just so it's not so massive and lumps. Just go from the center. You can hold it down, get the high ones, press it low, hold it down, mix it up a bit. And that's the hair in a nutshell. Alright, so we've got the hair done. Probably a bigger gap here. So you can always just like carve it in, carve it in, carve it in. Bigger brush. Bam, bam. So yeah, like I said, I'm pretty much finished with that there. It does look like he's got tremendously more hair in my one than he does in this one, but I'm just gonna let it slide. I think I probably need to take some away here Alright, now the eye. Here's my eye, and that's all an eye is basically. That's it. It's not even that high res, this eye, it's just overly dynameshed. So I'll take my eye. I tell you what, in this instance I'm going to make the eyes from scratch. So we're going to append sphere. Just dynamesh it now just to get it down, because we're going to be cutting into it. Don't need to dynamesh it quite yet. Sorry, I keep on checking the camera to make sure it hasn't cut off yet. Got to cut that down as well for some reason. Anyway, we're doing the eye. Alright. That's alright. These are called dead eyes, by the way. And I always leave a little bit at the front for the and try and make the middle there for that kind of weird bit. Sorry. Yeah, I've noticed myself often not finishing my sentences, so I'll try not to do that so much. Yeah, you want a bit of a gap there and at the top so that it's not too flush. So yeah, that looks alright actually. And the bottom lid is usually much bigger due to the whole eyelashes business, or kind of sometimes it's light and stuff, so whatever. Either way, now all you do is basically you put it on move, and then look at the size of the pupil and then just match that over here, right? So we're going to come here, and I'm just going to actually go on this one here and move this down a bit and move that down a bit, I think. Oops, no, not that. This one here. Move that up a bit, move that up. Move it in. Make sure you're keeping the circular path. Alright, even though sometimes it's a bit jagged, it's kind of style shape, so that goes there, that goes there, that goes there. Yeah, that's got to get moved down. And this, I'm just trying to see if the eyes are alright in fact or not, or if I need to modify them. Move a bit down. I'm just trying to essentially copy what's on the picture. Easier said than done sometimes, I do know, I do know. Alright, I'm generally happy with that eye now, it's good enough for me. We'll move this thing down a bit. I can't move him down because the center is there and I don't want to start messing with the center of the eye. So I'm going to just slowly move this bit down, this part up down a bit, this part down a bit. Now I can maybe move him down. He's looking that way, so I guess the eye will be kind of there. Let's see how big that eyeball is. Oh, that's too big. You want it to be rounded but not ridiculously big. You want it to basically match the shape of the eye because it's essentially bulging, so that is the eye. So what we're going to do, we're going to take this brush and we are going to make the kind of size of it about the size of the pupil and just suck it out, so we use a minus, and that literally just cuts it in. And that's pretty much the eye. Let me think. You can subdivide it and stuff like that. Make it. What I tend to do is I clay polish it up, but subdivide it first. Divide, clay polish, smooth, undo. It looks alright just like that. In fact, so I'll leave it like that. And that's quite deep. So you could have big shadows in those eyes. but he's got quite dark eyes, so we're going to leave it like that, and going to just try and move it and scale it in a way that matches the drawing, the picture. So that's going to be like that, I think. And she gone? Sorry, I've got my neighbour's cat just loitering in my house quite a lot. I did 3D scanner the other day, so hopefully that came out alright. Move, shift, and then do it again for the pupil. And that's it, pretty much. There's your eye. And then you can just mirror it for the other side. What we're going to do is go to the sub tool, duplicate it, and then we're going to go back to the deformation, and then we're going to mirror it. Mirror, mirror, mirror on the wall. Little function, it's got subdivisions. Whatever, subdivide it. Where's the geometry? Del lower. Now we're going to. I need to put this on the top tab. I use this all the time. It just gets annoying mirror. I know it's kind of carved inwards, which is a bit of a shame. You should try and make them all in the center, but I'm just getting this done for the sake of the tutorial. Bring it up, put it in the right place, make sure you've got the gap for that. It's not too bad positioning wise, and that's that. There's your head. It looks a bit freaky because it's got the inside still there. There you go. That one looks a bit dark. This one looks crazy. Something's wrong here. That needs to go in the bin, I think. And I think that's that. I'm just kind of studying it, seeing what I can do different, what I've done wrong or anything like that. I've got something else in there. It's just the eyes kind of, because it's not centered here, because I've rotated it. Then it looks funny, but whatever. Most people won't notice that. Pretend you didn't notice that. There you go. Looks alright. And that's it. Finished. So there you go, that's kind of roughly how I do them. And that's that. So you can dynamesh that and clear up all these kind of bits of ear if you want, or you can just go over it manually by hand and save your time from dynameshing it, because then you have to go over the whole model, because it obviously softens the whole model unless you dynamesh it with a zero blur selected, because normally like there's a little subtle blur that's like 2 pixels or something, and it will just ruin anything. Face. So we're going to give him a bit of an ear, because I like, whoops. So I've got a big hole there somehow, so I might have to fill that up. Yep, not a problem. Just find it. Annoying. It's actually really annoying. I'm just going to make it massive because it's really annoying me. I could just delete it here. Come on, mate. Alright, there we go. Some weird bit I've cut out there. Just fill that in, fix it up. Right, so in a nutshell, that's pretty much it. He's got a massive Elvis style hair now, but I think I deleted too much from that one before. Don't know what's going on there, don't know why it did that, but either way, sorted that out now. And I don't know, does it look like him, do you think? I think it does, to some extent. Anyway, that's my style. I might do the eyebrows in my own time, but literally the eyebrows is literally going to be like that. Yeah, I'll do the eyebrows. I might as well film it, considering we're doing absolutely everything. So I'm just going to come here and just finish the eyebrows off. Sometimes it makes them into like mountains, just carve down rather than carving up, so that you can see it. Yeah, I really should increase the poly count to get nice kind of brows, but whatever. For this one I'm almost done. Got to sort something out. I don't know what we'll do there. Let's give him mega thick ones actually. Do the other one. So we carve away because there's too much already there. And there you go. There's your dude. And that's how I do them. There you go guys, hope you've enjoyed the video. I'm going to be doing a bunch of these, probably refining how I record this and make a better tutorial. So now I can also take you through the 3D printing part of it, which is quite easy. So if you want to prepare this for 3D printing, what you do is boolean it all, right? I don't know, I duplicated something there. So you come in here and you click this button and you click live boolean, come down here, boolean, make boolean mesh, wait for it to do it, done. Then you come down here and this is the U mesh that it's created, so this is all one object. Then you go to Z script, Z plugins, and go to 3D print hub, and then I usually say update the size ratios and go for the closest one, which is this one here. And then you go and you say, well, I want it to be 70 centimeters tall, 7 centimeters tall, so that's Z. And I'll make this about 130, and then 120, whatever, and then you can export it. So you just come in here, Z plugin, and you're still in the 3D print hub, and you come down here and just click export, and you come down here, export, and on, yep, save. Alright, here we are on Chitubox, so we're just going to come in here, open file, click on the file, done. And what I tend to do is I come in here, hollow object, and I do 1.7 shell for the hollowing. You don't need to wait for that, it kind of, or once it's done its thing, then you can kind of just have a look. And that's why you boolean it together, so you don't get no weird floating stuff in the middle. Otherwise you're going to get floating stuff and intersecting geometry and stuff like that. Right, stop moving, you idiot. Come down, fine. And then I get this this hole thing, dig a hole, and I'll make a big ass hole in the bottom. And I'll just make it as big as you can. Boom. And you've got a hole in the bottom. And then generally I just print it in that orientation as well. I mean, because it's not flat on the bottom, it's almost ideal, and that way you don't need to worry about anything. I mean, got a bit of an overhang on his nose, but it really is very subtle, so to prevent that you can just all like that, just so it's not so overhanging. But you can sort that out with a couple of supports anyway. Just come in here, bang, and it's all done. Don't need to worry about stuff. And then I just kind of lather it around here. I'm obviously not doing it like that, I put a bit more effort into it. But essentially that's the process, and then just got to do the supports correctly. If you don't know all that, I can take you through it in another episode. But for now, we'll just get rid of these. But for now, that's it. There's your model that you're going to be printing, and yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Click like, subscribe, and have a great day.